Hello everyone, welcome back to SAP Manufacturing channel. This time we're going to be creating an online agreement, which is one object that I mentioned in another video that it's in higher hierarchy regarding the purchasing info record. Okay, it means that if we have a purchasing info record and an online agreement, the conditions, the pricing conditions, the terms will be picked up from the other agreement instead of the purchasing info record. Okay, we still might use it. The system will still might use it, especially for source determination, because we might have an active outsourcing for a vendor that we do not have another agreement for, right? So the system will suggest that one if that is the one that is flagged. On the other hand, if we have, as I said, the two objects for the same vendor and material, and that is the one we want to purchase from, then the other agreement will be picked up and all the data from there will be considered, okay, over the purchasing info record, let's say. We will take a look at the creation and we will see how it behaves in terms of creating the purchasing info record, because we can also create a purchasing info record while we are creating the online agreement as well. Okay, this basically it's a long-term contract, right? We can have contracts itself, which is basically just amount of or quantity to be purchased for a period of time, and the cost, right, or the price we will need to pay, the purchasing price. On the other hand, we can also use scheduling agreements. Okay, if we know the frequency that we will need certain product for a period of time, we can set up the other option. Okay, but in this case, we're going to be dealing with the contracts only. Okay, and one thing we need to consider is that we can also use scales. Okay, it means, for example, if we purchase until 1 ton, we can pay certain price, right? If we purchase between 1 and 10 tons of products or liters or whatever, right, we can have another price. Okay, so before jumping into the creation of the alternate agreement as a contract, quantity contract, we will check first ME 13. We will check that we do not have our info record for this vendor and this raw material. Okay, for this purchasing organization in this plant, standard purchasing info record, and we confirm that we do not have. Okay, as you can see here. Okay, it doesn't exist. That's okay. So let's go to the ME31K to create a contract. Okay, because the L is for the scheduling agreement. We will see that in another video. But in this case, the contract is with K. Here we will put the supplier. The agreement type is important because we have for quantity and we have also for value. Okay, in this case, we are dealing with the MK, which is quantity contract. We will put the purchasing organization. Purchasing group is going to be 201 for raw materials. We do not put anything here in the agreement. It will be assigned automatically when we save this contract. And of course, we can also copy from another one, right, as usual. But basically, in this case, we're doing this from zero, right? So, yeah, let's press enter. One thing that is important to define here is the validity, right? Since this is a long-term agreement, you might have an agreement for the entire year, or you might have it for 1 year specifically, right? Let's assume in this case it's just for this year, okay? So I'm gonna put here 31st 12 2025, okay? This would be until the end of the month, the year, sorry. Okay, so we might have payment terms here. We might have discounts depending on the numbers of days of payment, etc. Okay, so you can deal with this in general, right? We can also do. We can also assign here, for example, a target value. Even though this is a quantity, right, contract, we can assign a value. In general, the default would be a warning message only. Okay, it will warn us that we reached the value, the target value, or we reached the target quantity. Okay, so I'm not going to put anything for value here, and you can also put some reference here, like the supplier again here, the reference, or if it's coming from a quotation, right? For example, the salesperson, what was contacted, etc. So you can put other values here. So let me just finish this one, and let's go to the next screen. Okay. So this is the header conditions, but before we jump into it, let me just press enter here. Okay, and we go to the item overview. Okay, in the item overview, we can have as many lines according to the materials we're going to be purchasing from this vendor. Keep in mind that the contract is against one specific vendor. Okay, and we can have here multiple materials to be purchased from that vendor. In general, since this is let's say purchasing organization level, we might assign in the same contract for multiple plants. Okay, so eventually we can have different prices per plant. Okay, for example, if the raw material is already considering the freight, right, in the price, you don't need to add a freight as a pricing condition, but you might have different values, right? Different prices for the same material for different plants, because one plant can be um, far away from the vendor distribution center, for example, or manufacturing site, right? So it's up to you, but in general, you can assign the plant here as well. As you can see, by default, we are having a plant, right? But you can assign another plant as well if you want, depending on the definition. Okay, yes, this is the raw material we're going to use. The target quantity. This is the quantity we're supposed to be purchasing from this vendor. Okay. Again, by default, it's just a warning message if we reach that quantity. Okay. We can overprocess it, no problem. We will get a warning, or we can make it, let's say, an error message if we want in configuration. Right. As usual, the messages can be turned into error, even if initially are configured as warning message. Okay. Okay, so let me put, in this case, 100,000. Okay, 100,000. Yeah. The order unit can be different, but in this case, we will just assign the default basic unit of measure. Remember, if you use an ordering unit different than the basic unit, you need to be sure in the material master of this material, you have the conversion factor, okay, for the ordering unit. Let's suppose you order in pallets, for example. So you need to tell the system how many kgs has a pallet of this raw material for this vendor, right? Okay. So basically, we will put net price here. Let's assume it's going to be €1 that 20. So we will put 120 per 100 kgs. Okay. Here is going to be the order unit price will be the same kg when I press enter here. Okay. The storage location should be coming automatically from the raw material at this plant, because it's defined in the MRP view that it's defined that the probably the storage location will be 0001. Okay, for raw materials. So let me press enter, and we should see that when we go back to the other screen. Okay, so in this screen, this is the detail screen for that. So we have the target quantity to 100,000, as you can see. The net order price, okay, it's 120 by 100 kgs, so it means €1.20 each kg. What else we have? Okay, we have the tax code. Okay, so maybe this is important. Okay, good to see based, because with this way the system will check for the good receipt to be done. Okay, first, and then it will check the quantity was correctly received, let's say, and also the price is correctly assigned. Otherwise, we will get a message because of that. Okay, and the invoice will be um, blocked for payment. That is one finance important feature, let's say, to help finance. I mean, okay, so basically, we cover, I think, yes. Okay, this is the most critical thing. Then we have these additional data that is important, and we also have the item conditions as well, right? We might add other conditions, etc. But let me jump first into the additional data. Okay. Okay. In the additional data, we have some information like planned delivery time. For example, the planned delivery time that is proposed here is coming from the material master. But for this vendor, we might have 6 days, right? Or 7 days, or 10 days, or less, maybe less than the material master, right? So we put the specific planned delivery time. If we don't add any value here, the system will just pick up the material master planned delivery time. Okay, but in this case, we can give specifically for this material and this vendor, this is the planned delivery time. Okay, so what else we can? Okay, this is bringing from the basic views. In case of uh, drums and other types of, these are just bags, right? Normally, you don't have that difference between the gross and net weight, maybe just 0.005 here or something, right? But when you have drums and other types of containers, for example, the gross weight might be higher, of course, than the net weight, right? Then, yeah, okay, we can use, of course, for Incoterms here. We can just, let me see, the CIF is there. I mean, this is typically for right? So CIF, depending on the conditions, uh, Incoterms. Okay, so we cover that in detail, right? All the details, I mean. So let's go back. Let me item details. These are the details we jumped into before, right? This is the good receipt that we set up. And as I said, we have the additional data that you already saw, and then we need to go to item conditions now. Okay. So of course we can add more conditions depending on the configuration, right? Like freight and other types of things. But this is not the purpose of this video. Is this video is for just creating this in a general way, so we can use it also for the QM purposes as well. Okay. So basically, we can do scale here. That this is something I already mentioned before, right? This is the icon. The icon will vary depending on your version of the SAP UI, right? So here we will define, for example, from 1 kgs, 120 euros per 100 kgs. Okay. Then we can define if we purchase, for example, 1,000, we can get 110, for example. If we purchase 3,000, 100. So we press enter, and we can define, of course, a scale with much more cases, right? And that's it. So just to would like to mention that we are using the quantity scale, which is pretty much standard. Okay, but of course we can use others as well. Okay, volume, other points and values, etc. Okay. Okay, so let me go back. So this is basically the details for the conditions, as I said. We can go back again, and this is our item level of the contract. Okay, so here's where you can assign multiple materials, as I mentioned, right? And you can assign scales and other conditions inside each line. Okay, so let me just check one thing here. Product type group. Okay, that was assigned automatically. Okay, this is a target quantity we set, and I think we cover everything. Let me check the details. Of course, you can do the acknowledgement required here, the shipment instruction if needed as well, the under tolerance delivery. Okay, maybe we can assign something there. The over tolerance, let's put 5%, for example. Let me see if the tax code was configured. We can assign it as well. Inter-community. I'm not sure if that is the one. No, that's not the one. Okay, let me just remove it. It's not mandatory now, anyway. What else? Okay, info update. This is important. Okay, let me show you. So if we don't add anything in this field, it's no update. Okay, but if we add on any of this one, okay, we will update the info record. Okay, so we expect the info record to be created and updated, of course, right? When it's already created and you are doing changes here, you will be updating the info record. Okay, that is the purpose of this. Okay, so let me just use this with or without the plant, but we already assigned the plant anyway, right? So see, the plant was assigned to this one. So it means it's a specific buy plant, as I mentioned, but it's up to you, of course. If the company wants, you can use it generically, right? And to have the same price. But in general, this is a common practice to use buy plant because you might have slight differences at this level, right? Supplier material is also something that you might want, right? For example, we can consider that it's DAP 1000, for example. Okay, this might be the name of the material for the supplier. Okay, for this supplier. Okay, excellent. So I think we cover everything. Let me just save this. Okay, no message, of course. We're not going to be sending any message. As usual, as any purchase order, you might be sending a message for this if you want, right? A message means that we can print a PDF or we can send by email, etc., right? As any other PO, this is a specific kind of contract. Okay, so it's a long-term PO, let's say, right? It's a contract. So let me save it. And it was created with this number. Okay, so we can double click and save it, or we can just go directly in, hoping that it's in the buffer, and we can basically call it again if we want. For example, if I go to on an agreement, right, display, it should be there. There it is. Okay, so it's the one we created. So one thing we can do before doing anything else is to go to ME13. Now this is the vendor, this is the raw material, and there you are. See? So this purchasing info record didn't exist before we started creating the agreement for quantity contract. I'm sorry, and now you can see it, right? It was created by the system because we set up the field to update the info record. So if the info record didn't exist, it was created, right? And if it was there, it was just updated. That is the purpose of that field, okay? So as you can see, all this was updated in the purchasing organization data as well. Remember the 6 days we mentioned, right? The tolerance we put, of course, the price, right? And of course, conditions as well. Okay, if we have added more conditions, we should see the conditions here as well. In this case, it's not allowed. Okay, but it's just configuration, I would say. Yeah, the last point I would like to do is to show you the ME21N. One of the usages of this, when we are about to create a PO, we can go to the document overview here. So we will see on the left, we can add a filter here, right? And typically we use this for purchase requisitions, right? We can check for purchase requisition, we can grab it and send it to the shopping cart here, and we can create a PO based on the purchase requisition. But in this case, it's going to be different. We're going to select contracts. This is just for the contract selection, just company code. For some reason, it was another company here. Yeah, okay. Let me just execute. And we have our contract, which is 46. Typically, we use this number range to indicate this is a contract and not 45, which is a PO, right? And of course, we have this purchasing document now that we can create a PO from, okay? Okay, so we have a standard MB PO type, okay? Basically, we need to put here the PO quantity that we want to purchase, right? And we have an initial price that is coming from the owner agreement, which is 120. I will show you. The owner agreement should be here. Here you go. This is the owner agreement, okay? And the info record we already checked as well. That was created because we set up the update of the info record when we were creating the owner agreement, okay? This PVXX is just for manual gross price when the first one cannot be determined automatically, okay? But this is determined automatically because we do have a contract, okay? Okay, so let me just put here the quantity so we will see what changes, okay? We said that from 1 kg would be, if I'm not mistaken, 1 kg would be 120, right, per 100 kgs. But if we purchase 100 or 1500, right, let me just press enter. Now you can see that the price has been reduced, right? Now we have 110 euros per 100 because we are in another range of the scale, right? So here is telling us that lower price obtained for quantities greater than 5,000, right? Because 5,000 is the um, upper level of the scale where we get the lowest, let's say, price, right? We can simulate that. For example, 1,000, 5,000 in this case. We should see 100. There you are. Okay, so it's €1 per kg. This is the purpose of a scale, and you can see it from here, right? Excellent. So let me just create one PO for, yeah, let's leave the 5,000, no problem. Okay, let me check if everything is fine. Message will not be determined, that's fine. Effective price, perfect. And yes, can delivery be met? Yes, can. Just press enter and let me save it. We're not going to be sending any message here. This is just test system. And the PO was created under this number. Okay, so we cover all the process for the annual agreement in quantity contract this time. Okay, in another videos we will see the value contract, and we will see other cases like scheduling agreement as well, which is another type of contract. Thank you for watching the video. If you like it, please give it a like, share it, and also subscribe if you're not subscribed, because I will be preparing these videos and issuing these videos on a frequent basis. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the video. Okay, thank you very much. Leave any comments if you want, any suggestion for future videos as well. Will be more than welcome. Okay, thank you very much. I see you in the next video.